Yo, what is up guys, and welcome to the Day 87 recap of the 2016-2017 NBA season. In case you guys did not get the memo, for whatever reason, Karl Anthony Towns is a straight up monster. Last night, Cat led the Minnesota Timberwolves to a 104-101 win over the Los Angeles Clippers. Now, it was a Chris Paul-less, Blake Griffin-less Los Angeles Clippers, but a win is still a win. That's all anyone's ever gonna remember, is that they won. Karl Anthony Towns with 37 points, 12 rebounds, and 5 assists on the night. 27 points alone in the second half and 15 points in the fourth quarter. That is the career high for Karl Anthony Towns in the fourth quarter, and I believe he outscored the Los Angeles Clippers by himself in the last 6 minutes of the game. That is crazy. That's what you love to see from Karl Anthony Towns, the ability to take over the game at will. That's what separates the great players from like the legends. The ability when your team is down, they need someone to make plays, to single-handedly be able to take over the game. And which is what I want to kind of talk about right now. Karl Anthony Towns, to me, has to become the leader of this team. Now, I know it's going to happen eventually. I mean, it's most likely not going to be Andrew Wiggins. I just don't see Andrew Wiggins as the leader. He's a fantastic player, don't get me wrong. But when it comes to leadership, I think Karl Anthony Towns has more of the leader qualities than Andrew Wiggins. Andrew Wiggins is kind of on the quieter, more reserved side. But when you see Karl Anthony Towns play, he's starting to show some of that edge, some of that KG-esque edge, and I think playing alongside Kevin Garnett was probably the best thing that could have ever happened to Karl Anthony Towns, because it allowed him to basically toughen him up. That's what Kevin Garnett did, to toughen him up, and I would love to see him play with Kevin Garnett for at least one more year. If I was the Minnesota Timberwolves organization, I would have done absolutely everything in my power to get Kevin Garnett to come back and play for at least one more year. Not even play, just to be there to mentor Karl Anthony Towns. You would never have to set foot onto the hardwood if he didn't want to. The general consensus on the Timberwolves so far this season is that they've been a bit of a disappointment. One of the more disappointing things about the season so far. A lot of people were coming into the season looking for them to take that next step, to maybe even make the playoffs, but at least have a winning record or close to winning record. You know, 41-41, 40-42, something like that would have been great progress for the Minnesota Timberwolves. And while the record may not show it, I think the team is still making a really solid progress so far this season. If I could equate it to anything, I'd say that they're going through a bit of puberty. They're starting to go through a bit of puberty where they grow up. You know, that's just the best way I can describe it. I believe Karl Anthony Towns is starting to emerge as the leader of that team, which will be great, because as the leader of that team, as you guys know, the Timberwolves have no veteran leadership at the moment. So if Karl Anthony Towns can take the reins to that team, what that will allow him to do is set an example. By going out there and playing hard, he can basically force other people to step their games up too, which is what some of the other great players in NBA history have done. Even when it's not on the court, even when it's in practice, making sure everyone's giving it their all. Just like Kevin Garnett did when he was practicing with Karl Anthony Towns. You were never going to see Karl Anthony Towns take a possession a second off with Kevin Garnett breathing down his neck. Kevin Garnett would not allow it. And that's what Karl Anthony Towns has to be able to do with his young Minnesota Timberwolves team. And I know it's going to take some time, especially for young players, when you have other young talent around you, other great young talent around you. Look at Zach LaVine, you look at Andrew Wiggins. It's kind of hard for him to assert himself over those guys right now, to become basically their leader, but eventually it will happen. They're starting to see it. Right now he's doing it with his play. Yesterday, like I said, he took over the game when he needed to. Of course, Andrew Wiggins still had a really good game as well. He hit some clutch free throws late in the game and whatnot, but like I said, Karl Anthony Towns will be the guy that can hold guys responsible, hold people accountable, at the same time not like always blame people for losing, because that's not what a good leader does. Sure, you keep guys in check when you need to, when it's glaringly that they're not giving it their all, you keep those guys in check. But every time you lose, you don't get down on your teammates. You look at yourself and be like, what can I do to help lead these guys even better, to get them inspired to want to win, not just keep putting the blame on your teammates, because that's not a sign of a good leader. But all of this is going to take time. The Minnesota Timberwolves are still an extremely young team. Something one of the announcers said that stuck out to me during the game yesterday. The oldest player on the court for the Timberwolves for a period of time was 22 years old. 22 years old. And do you know who that player was? Chris Dunn. The rookie Chris Dunn was the oldest player on the court for the Minnesota Timberwolves at points during that game, and he was still in there with Karl Anthony Towns and Andrew Wiggins. So just think about that for a second, and then think about the expectations that some of us are putting on the Timberwolves to start the season, you know, having a winning season or close to winning season, possibly making the playoffs. Look at the age of that young core. Realize that Andrew Wiggins and Zach LaVine are only in their third year. Karl Anthony Towns is in his second year. Chris Dunn is a rookie. And then our expectations might have been way too high, even for all of the talent that they have. It's kind of like when you get excited about what the future is. You know, you get excited and you want it right now. You're like, I can see it, I can taste it, it's right there in front of me, but it's too soon. You just can't have it yet. You have to wait. Paul Gasol broke a finger yesterday in the warm-ups for the San Antonio Spurs. That's going to be a pretty big blow for them. That's their starting center now, and he's basically going to be out for a while. That's some really bad news for the San Antonio Spurs, but some good news is you still have Kawhi Leonard, and I hear he's a pretty good player. Also, some other good news is you still have Greg Popovich, the best coach, in my opinion, in NBA history. He got himself ejected in the second quarter last night. The Spurs did beat the Nuggets though. 34 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists from Kawhi Leonard, and rookie point guard DeJounte Murray had his best game of his career last night, filling in for Tony Parker. 24 points on the night for Murray, but Nikola Jokic had another beastly game. What is this like now? 3 in a row, 35 points, 12 rebounds, 4 assists, and 2 blocks for Jokic. I really hope that eventually people start to take notice of his greatness. I hope he's not one of those players that goes his whole career being a fantastic player, but basically just being unnoticed by the masses. You know, the Knicks almost got a win. The Knicks almost got a win over the Washington Wizards yesterday, but John Wall just wasn't having it. John Wall came up with some huge plays down the stretch to give the Washington Wizards a 113-110 win over the New York Knicks. Otto Porter Jr. became the first player in Wizards history to record back-to-back games with at least 6 triples made. Yesterday, he was 6 of 10 from 3, 23 points, and 6 rebounds. Like I said, I like Otto Porter Jr. a lot. To me, he's like a young Trevor Ariza. I also like John Wall's game too, though, you know what I'm saying? 29 points, 13 assists, and 3 steals from Mr. Wall. He continues to tear it up, and yet no one talks about him. Carmelo Anthony, though. Carmelo Anthony, I'm sure you guys all saw Carmelo's miss. I'm sure you guys all saw that, but he did go on to score 25 points in that quarter as well. So, you know, he was hot during that quarter, but that's about it. He finished the game with 34 points and 10 rebounds on the night, and the Knicks came up short. Porzingis played again last night, but they were bringing him off the bench, I guess, to work him back into the lineup. He played 29 minutes and had 15 points and 5 rebounds. The Cleveland Cavaliers definitely bounced back last night after their loss to the Warriors. 21 points, 15 assists, 9 rebounds, and 2 blocks for LeBron James, 26 points for Kyrie Irving, and Kevin Love sat out due to the lower back soreness that he suffered playing against Golden State. So hopefully everything is alright with Kevin Love. They're definitely going to need him. He's been playing great for them so far this season. And last but not least, the game that everyone was looking forward to. I mean, it doesn't get much more intense than this game right here. You had the Dallas Mavericks versus the Miami Heat, aka the final matchup that you can look forward to in June. Miami Heat got the win 99-95 over the Dallas Mavericks. An extremely good game from Goran Dragic, 32 points, 6 rebounds, and 2 assists on the night. And Tyler Johnson continues to have a really good season for the Miami Heat. Still feel bad about KCP knocking his tooth out, but still 23 points for Tyler Johnson coming off that bench. And that about wraps up all the action for the Day 87 recap of the 2016-2017 NBA season. And now it's time to get into the player of the day. Yesterday, you guys voted for Kevin Durant and his 40 points, 12 rebounds, 4 assists, and 3 blocks as the player of the day. And here are today's nominees. You have Karl Anthony Towns, 37 points, 12 rebounds, 5 assists. John Wall, 29 points, 13 assists, 5 rebounds. Kawhi Leonard, 34 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists. Or LeBron James, 21 points, 9 rebounds, 15 assists. Go vote now on the Amino Hardwood NBA app. The link to the poll will be in the description as well as in the comment section below. And I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Leave a like on the video if you did, and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already for more daily NBA videos. And you guys already know that I'll be right back here tomorrow with some more NBA fire. So until then, keep getting the buckets, Team SDC, and I'm out of here. Peace!